What is going on, everybody? My name is Brett. This is a Pop Culture Crisis movie review for The Flash, and I am here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Happy to be doing this review. It was really hard to get through this movie because at the beginning of it, we had to stop and start over and over again. I bought the tickets for an open captioned showing of the film.
Which, as somebody who's deaf in one ear, I appreciate it.
Because
I've never been to a caption movie before.
I was trying to accommodate Brett and make it accessible for him.
That's exactly what it was.
But unfortunately, they had trouble accessing that version of the film and had to restart the movie five times?
4 or 5 times. It was a lot. And then they said that the captions aren't going to work, so we'll give you guys a refund or no, we'll give you tickets for another movie. And then the captions turned on.
Yeah. Well, I want to still ask for that free movie ticket because that would be a nice perk. But it felt like we were jumping through time. We were like the Flash.
And I'll tell you what. So one of the biggest complaints that I've seen about this movie is poor pacing. But for me, I didn't have a problem with the pacing of this movie. It didn't feel like 2.5 hours. But now I have to wonder, is that because of the way the movie kept stopping and starting unnaturally? That maybe that should make it feel longer to me, but by the time it finally got going, it felt like it just really got going. So that might have colored my perception of this 2.5 hour movie.
I fell asleep in between when the berries get to the Batcave and when Kal-El, what is her name?
Kara Zor-El, yeah.
Kara Zor-El appeared. So, wait, how did she
So I'll tell you what this is. So this this movie is essentially, from what I can tell, it's a bit of a mashup of both the Flashpoint storyline and Superman the Red Son, which is an alternate. It's a Elseworld story where Superman ends up in Russia rather than America. So she's prisoner in Russia, and they go and they rescue her, thinking that they're going to rescue Superman.
They went to Russia.
Yes, they traveled to Russia.
I think I caught that.
Yes, they traveled to Russia to rescue Superman and realize that it's not Superman, it's Supergirl, and it's look, I didn't
because they're in an alternate timeline.
Yes.
Where Superman does not exist.
Exactly. We're in an alternate timeline where it's no longer Ben Affleck as Batman and Bruce Wayne. It's Michael Keaton as Batman and Bruce Wayne. And everything's different. My favorite part was where they keep talking about how it's a different actor that plays Marty McFly in Back to the Future.
But it was Eric Stoltz.
Eric Stoltz rather than Michael J. Fox. I have one major complaint about this movie that took me out of it repeatedly. I'm going to get it out of the way. What was with all the annoying swearing?
Yeah, that did bother me, especially because there were literal children in the theater.
They used their one F-bomb. They got their PG-13 with one F-bomb.
At the very end of
the movie, I'll say this. The one way that this would have worked, now I didn't pay close enough attention. No, I did pay close enough attention, but I'd have to watch it again. If the swearing is doled out amongst all the characters, it's try hard and annoying. If the swearing is given just to long-haired alternate timeline Barry as a way of showcasing his emotional immaturity, that's actually kind of clever. But I don't think that that's what happened here. I think it's actually fairly spread out over all the characters. But perhaps I'll have to watch it again to see if that was actually what it was. Because if it was, that's actually a clever bit of dialogue writing. But I'll give Ezra Miller credit here, and I'm going to do this. I don't like Ezra Miller. I think Ezra Miller is absolutely a bad person and very likely done a lot of very things wrong in the world. He does a very good job in this movie of giving both Barrys subtly distinct personalities without making them feel like he's playing complete opposites or too much the same.
Yeah, I heard a lot of complaints that he was just annoying to watch on screen, and I really didn't think so.
No, he the long-haired Barry is kind of annoying, but he's supposed to be. He's the Barry who hasn't grown up with the tragedy of losing his mother.
Well, both Barrys are emotionally immature for different reasons because of their experiences in life.
It's just the cursing was weird. I really do think that they managed to. It felt in places like Multiverse of Madness to me because of the bad CGI in the Multiverse storyline, right? So it felt like Multiverse of Madness, but it felt like Multiverse of Madness that actually hit the emotional points it was trying to hit in a way that Doctor Strange did not.
Well, was the Multiverse of Madness even trying to be like emotionally impactful?
I feel like they tried to do that with Wanda and the kids, and it never landed.
Yeah,
to me.
true. But I didn't feel anything
But Barry
about
and his mom in this, it landed for me.
Yeah.
It really did. Like in a way that I was actually kind of shocked at how much it managed to catch me. It did. The music was very, very good in this film. They used the score beautifully by mixing together old Batman themes into the new score for The Flash. When it needed to be a rousing superhero theme, it was a rousing superhero theme. When it needed to be a contemplative, emotional theme, it was very, very well done, but not over the top. It didn't drown out the scene. And I think Ezra Miller did fine in this role, and they really did give him a lot to do. Like he had a lot on his shoulders to make all this work. The cameos were almost too, like they didn't need to do all the cameos. It was, if they had actually removed all of these ridiculous, over the top, what did Michael Shannon say, that it's just people playing with action figures now? I think that actually takes away from the emotional resonance to make it feel like it's just couched between all of these member berries that don't need to be there, because they actually did a fair enough job with the emotional stuff that it could have survived on its own with just a couple of cameos like the Michael Keaton one and the Sasha Kelly Supergirl one.
Ben Affleck had like what, 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
In the
Also,
whole movie,
they did
and then it just like makes people wish that they had more of it.
Yeah, I'll say this: they did something weird with Ben. Like I don't know if you ever got around to seeing Justice League or Batman vs Superman, but they use a very mechanical voice for him when he's in the bat suit in those movies. This one did not sound like this. This sounded like a horror character when he's got his voice masked in the suit. It didn't really work for me, and it felt like I was watching a very, very different Batman in those moments, because in my head, I'm hearing something very different from what I heard in those movies.
I did want to mention the CGI and the effects. In Multiverse of Madness, I thought it was over the top, but I didn't think it was done badly necessarily, and I don't have the eye for that, but it didn't distract me.
It's very bad in this movie.
But in this one,
it's shockingly bad.
It's bad to the point where it was actually distracting, and it looked very...
The babies look like loaves of bread falling out of the window.
Even when Kara was in the middle of her fight with Zod, like her movements just... It didn't look human.
She did a good job of like I'll give that actress credit. She did a good job of like standing tall and looking like a superhero when she needed to. But you're right, the CGI was shockingly bad.
When
the director,
he's like running back in time, and you can see all of these different what is it called?
Okay, so that
what are those different worlds?
So it's
called?
He's in the Chronoball.
When he's looking at all of these different Chronoballs, and you can see like all of these different sequences of events, it looks really kind of scary. Is it supposed to look like unsettling, or was that just a failure of the CGI?
That's the part that made me feel like it felt like Multiverse of Madness, that it's done that way. Here's the thing: if the rest of the movie's CGI had been fine, like not great but serviceable, the director of this movie, Andy Muschietti, said that the bad CGI was a choice. Said it was done on purpose. I'm not kidding you. He says it was done on. In fact, I have it here. He literally mentions. He says they did it on purpose because it shows things from the Flash's point of view, and that when Barry's in the Speed Force, he perceives the world differently. If they had just done the bad CGI, the very, very PlayStation 2-esque CGI, while they were in the Chronoball, that would have made sense.
It was in the rest,
but it's in the whole movie.
Even the very first scene where he's in his suit and starts running. Yeah. Looks like that. It's very,
very bad. Like in a very shocking way, almost.
I normally don't care about that stuff.
The movie does meander. Like in places, it does feel like it has a little bit of a pacing issue, but not as bad as it could have been, considering a 2.5-hour movie could feel very long. What they could have done, if I was playing Monday Morning Quarterback, I think they would have just skipped the part where Earth 2 Barry gets his powers, and he would have just had his powers when he got there. I felt like that was like them going back to his apartment, dealing with the annoying flatmates. I don't feel like...
but he wouldn't have started working at the crime lab.
I know. Story-wise,
reality.
It wouldn't have made sense, but I would have liked for them to find a way to pick up the pace around that part of the movie. Also, if they had been able to do, look, the reveal at the end, we're gonna talk a little bit of spoilers here. So the real villain of the movie is Barry's the Earth 2. Barry was the bad guy all along because he's Dark Flash. He's the one who's been stuck in this time paradox for ages, right? What they should have done.
I'm sorry. Why didn't Barry notice? Or he seemed to just totally brush past the fact that he was pushed out of the Chrono Bowl and like didn't question it at all.
Yeah. Also, they never explained how he got
about?
in. They never explained how he got into the Speed Force. Like at the beginning, he's just talking to his dad, and then he's in the Speed. Like that part didn't line up for me. It's like they wrote themselves into a corner as to how he discovers it. But he goes from talking to his dad in an apartment to looking at his old childhood home in costume right before they go. Right before he goes back in time so far that he messes with time, right?
Well, I thought that it went from him talking to Iris West to...
No, I thought he was back at his apartment and he's talking to his dad on the phone, and because then he's still talking to his dad in the headset when he's out front there, and so he's having this conversation with his dad. That part didn't line up for me. Somebody else probably can explain to me what that was there. What I think they should have done is Dark Flash should have been more present, meaning that he should have appeared more often, and they should have been trying to figure out who or what it was.
I'm understanding this correctly, right? That the younger Barry is the Dark Flash, right?
The Barry that didn't lose his mom is Dark Flash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like it would have made more sense to have him appear periodically throughout the movie more than he already did, because he only showed up a couple of times before the end. To have him show up to actually interfere in their work.
It seems like
I know they can't do that because they can't
hole that Barry didn't even question why or who it was that pushed him out of the Chrono Bowl. Like, and then just continued on as if that were the plan. Did you notice that?
Yeah. No, see, that's the thing. Like, what this movie did is they hit the emotional points well enough that you don't really ask the questions there. Like,
I guess.
they give you enough window dressing and cameos that I don't even know if we want to get into all of the cameos. We've kind of already.
Well, I was under the impression that because of Ezra Miller being a PR disaster, that this movie was going to be mostly focused on other characters.
I mean, I don't buy that. No,
like half.
I believe that the advertising.
But he actually did a really good job, in my opinion.
I don't think they changed enough about the movie to indicate to me that I think they always intended to do those cameos.
I wasn't able to tell that they went back and refilmed things years and years later.
Oh, I could see some of the. I didn't
see the wear and tear on him.
No, it was there's some.
Also, did they de-age the younger Barry at all, or did they just give him a different haircut?
Just a different haircut. Like, and the funny thing is, I don't know if that's a wig, because he had that haircut in previous movies. So I don't know if that's a wig. If it is, it was actually a really good one. Like, it doesn't look ultra noticeable. His hair, maybe it's a little bit puffier than his hair. Like, his hair sat flatter when he had the long hair like that in previous movies. But I'll tell you, like, him and the mom deserves a lot of credit for doing a great job at whether it's him or her, they both pull an emotional moment together at the end of that film that was like, if that had failed, the movie falls apart.
This would have ended the movie like 45 minutes in, but I thought it would have been more interesting if this were like an episode of Black Mirror or something. Yeah. If he just decided like he was wrong to try to go back and fix things, and then he was the one that stabbed his mother.
Yeah.
That would have ended the movie like an hour in, but
it would have
been more interesting, right?
I thought what they did
also
with what I thought what they did with
I'm
the
kind
can
of blanking
tomatoes.
Like, who did kill his mother? Am I missing something?
In that it's in the Flashpoint paradox, it's Reverse Flash, so they don't address that in this.
Oh, I was just supposed to know that.
It could be used later as still trying to figure out who it was. Like, they could come back to this story and cast Reverse Flash and do that. Mm-hmm. I thought what they did with
I don't think they're going to do that.
I thought what they did with the can of tomatoes was excellent, because it ties in to how his dad gets out of prison at the end.
So he did end up trying to fix things just in that regard. Like, he moved the tomatoes from the lower shelf to the top shelf.
So what happens is this is how
so that his father's face would be visible on the CCTV.
We're into time travel now, so I could be completely misinterpreting this. In my opinion, the way I see it is, like, at the beginning of the movie, he's already like going to, like, his dad would, if he had not done any of this, his dad would have gotten off because it would have shown that his dad had to get the tomatoes off the top shelf. But in the one that he goes back and then changes everything, since he doesn't need to get the tomatoes, he never puts his head up. So it's actually very cleverly written into the end of the film that when Barry looks at the very first version of that Wayne Enterprise fixed footage and his dad doesn't look up, he's already in the timeline where he's messed it up and picked up the tomatoes. But by the time he fixes it, he's now back in the first timeline where he didn't mess with it, and his dad had to grab the tomatoes and grab them off the top shelf.
Yeah.
So it's actually really, really cleverly done. And time travel is one of those things, like, it's annoying, and it's an out for so many aspects of these types of films. One of the things I really do believe that they should be doing away with multiverses in general, because I believe that they destroy the concept of stakes in movies. It's like Michael Shannon said, he's like, I can come back. I thought my character was dead. Like, it's hard to emotionally connect. But in this movie, they actually prove to you that stakes matter because they have to let his mom die.
Yeah, it seems like multiverse in the MCU means nothing matters and no one can die. And interestingly, in this one, it showed that you don't have the power to just change anything or change fate.
Well, because in those films they're bringing
backfire.
And in the Marvel movies or in a lot of the other multiverse type storylines, it's a different version of it, but it's still the same actor. In this one, it's not a different version of it. He has to make sure that his version of his mother is the one that passes away.
Yeah.
It's very interesting, and I could be getting some of the time travel elements of this mixed up because time travel is always dicey in these things. But emotionally, it was engaging. I didn't feel like the runtime felt like the runtime. It didn't feel like 2 hours and 24 minutes. I don't know if I'll watch it again, but I'd give it a 7. On my new grading scale of a 7, I'd give it a 7. I probably would have given it an 8 or a 9 before.
I wouldn't rewatch this, but I'll
say 6,
would
7.
give it a 5.5.
Okay, and I'll say 6 to 7.
If we're wait, are we grading it on like
here we go again. I changed my scale.
70% is still a C.
No. That's so now, like, everyone's saying a 5 is average to me. So I'm gonna say it's a bit above average. I'll say it's a 6 or a 7.
I'm giving it a 5.5 because it's just that above average.
Okay, that's what it is, guys. The Flash is right now. It's projecting at under 80 million, 55 to 85 million, excuse me, for opening weekend. So if it's going to make back that supposed $250 million budget, which I don't buy for 1 second is anywhere close to what the budget to this movie is, I would put it way, way higher than that, given how long it's taken for this movie to come out, all the reshoots, everything that's gone into it. It's going to have to make a lot of money, but you'll have to decide for yourself. If you've gone and seen the movie, go ahead and leave a comment down below and let us know what you thought of the movie, and we will be back with another review next time. Mary, let them know where they can find you.
You can send me validation on Instagram at MaryArchived or send me hate on Twitter. That is also MaryArchived.
Yes, and if you guys want to let me know what you thought of the Flash movie, it's at Brett Dasovic on Instagram and Twitter. We'll be back with another review soon. Later, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.